Well, hello. I'm Hazel Larkin, and I am a survivor of child sexual abuse. And as a survivor of child sexual abuse, I think there are a few things that dentists need to know. So here's a few of the things that I think dentists need to know in no particular order. Dentists need to know that if someone presents as an adult, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are all adult. They may well look like a grown-up and sound like a grown-up and move like a grown-up, but not necessarily feel like one when they're in a vulnerable position. Dentists need to know that what to them is routine is not routine to us. Dentists need to know that certain sights, smells, sounds, and tastes can activate our trauma responses. Dentists need to know that we are not trying to be difficult. Quite the opposite, in fact. Dentists need to know that we are trying really hard to be compliant and to appear normal. Dentists need to know that we are not trying to piss them off. Dentists need to know that there is a difference between a nervous patient and a traumatized one. Dentists need to know that we are traumatized before we even get to their front door, and it is not about them, and it is not personal. Dentists need to know that talking to us, telling us what they would like to do before and during their doing of it, is essential to lessening our trauma experiences in their chairs. They also need to know that they must ask for and receive permission before touching us. I remember my first dental appointment. Actually, truth be told, it wasn't my appointment. I was too young, I wasn't quite 4, but I have 2 older brothers and they had appointments, and my mother thought that she'd just kind of tacked me on the end of theirs as a sort of a, I don't know, 3 for 2 down the local dentistry practice. So we arrived and it was all grey-blue. The industrial lino on the floor, pockmarked here and there by stiletto heels that probably shouldn't have been worn to the dentists. And the chairs, and the walls, and even the dentist's apron were all this same shade of grey-blue. And I had no objection to the idea of the dentist. To be quite honest, I was hoping for a bit of praise because I knew my teeth were clean, and I knew they didn't have any holes in them because they didn't hurt, and I knew I didn't have sticky out teeth, so I thought he'd be thrilled with me and tell me what a good girl I was. But as soon as I clambered up into that chair and this big hairy man with his big hairy hands loomed over me, all internal hell broke loose. I struggled, I squirmed, cried. The dentist got very cross and told my mother to take me home and bring me back when I was able to behave myself and sit still and not make such a fuss. My mother was tight-lipped, furious. She berated me for making a show of her. And I was so ashamed. I behaved this way and I didn't know why. In front of an audience, in front of my brothers, who I knew were going to make fun of me for months afterwards. And to make it worse, my mother told my father that night. Well, of course she did. And I really wish she hadn't. Not because I was shamed and embarrassed and upset all over again, but because she presented him with another scenario to add to his abuse repertoire. Anyway, just over a year later, I had my own appointment, and I was a big girl now of more than 5. But of course, before we got to the dentist, my mother had to bring up my behaviour of the last time and warned me that if I wasn't going to behave like a good girl and do what I was told, I'd be in trouble. I clamped down on the fear. I behaved as desired. I complied. I did as I had been trained to do. I opened my mouth as I had been trained to do. I didn't protest when he put whatever he wanted to inside my mouth, as I had been trained to do. I stayed quiet while he did whatever he wanted, as I had been trained to do. I did not protest, not even a little, as I had been trained to do. I did not squirm. I did not cry. I stayed completely still. I removed myself from the physical environment, the physical space I occupied, and took the precious part of me away somewhere else where nobody could touch it, as I had trained myself to do. I got my praise for my clean teeth and a new toothbrush, and I said thank you, as I had been trained to do. But you know, maybe I wasn't the one who should have been trained.